is far more interesting and far more exquisite and far more worthy of exploring once again than anything you can imagine at the moment.
Okay. Do you have memories of things like that, or is that just suddenly not real important to you anymore?
Memories of
Wonderful things that have happened here on Earth.
none of what has been real will disappear.
Oh, yeah.
None of what you have loved will disappear.
Oh.
What was real about the pyramids will be available to experience. Only you will see what they really were, what they really meant.
Oh, this is great. Okay.
Reality is infinite. And although all of it is always available to you as your conscious experience, all of it is experienced consciously, simultaneously, you nevertheless can explore them specifically. Experience them specifically. I mentioned at an earlier time that that if you want to experience an orange, you can experience an orange. You won't eat it to stay alive or keep your gums healthy. You will eat it for the experience of the meaning of the flavor. It won't just be the flavor, but the This is me, Paul. It's a word like spectrum, but just a moment. Okay, just a moment. Just a moment. I'm sorry, just a moment. He says, we will approach it another way. It is as though the flavor will have a color and a sound not just a sound like a tone, but a sound like a chord, which of course can be an augmented chord or a diminished chord or a major chord or a minor chord. So it is as though the spectrum of meaning has so many more aspects than what you imagine when you take a bite of an orange today. It's like a flavor of love amongst an infinite number of flavors of love. And that particular flavor of love captures the meaning, the intent behind the Father's expression of orange and orange. So, when you taste the orange, you will know that you're tasting love, you're tasting God. You will know that it is a holy or divine experience. I've also mentioned that although you will not appear to have a body with arms and legs and a head, but more a body of light, again, which is the substance of which is love, just as with the orange. That while at the same time you are universal, being the conscious experience of the infinite manifestation of God, of all that God is being, you will also have specific identification as light. And that two individuals, we could say two bodies of light, can pass through each other, and the experience of passing through each other will be an infinitely greater experience, an experience infinitely greater, but embodying the meaning of what you call climaxing. And because there is no division between any of the brotherhood, no sense of separation, your conscious experience of that will be the conscious experience of the whole brotherhood. It will not be a private experience. And so the experience of being awake is like consciousness being illumined, magnified, we'll say to the nth degree. And at the moment it would seem to be totally overwhelming to you because you identify yourself so in such a tiny fashion that such an immense, well, I'm going to say such a singular experience as the infinite experience is, would seem overwhelming. Because from your tiny vantage point, it would not seem singular, it would seem like an infiniteness that you couldn't possibly contain. That's why it would feel overwhelming. And that's why waking up doesn't happen just like that. It happens only as much as you let it happen. And that is so that you don't lose the conscious experience of your identity, your true identity. You're all experiencing your true identity right at this moment. But in a limited fashion. When you wake up, you will not be someone else. You will still be you. And you will still be recognizable as you to everyone else. I've said this before. But if you went from your tiny, encapsulated experience of yourself and your sense of your identity right now to one of being totally awakened, it would be so different that you wouldn't recognize yourself. You would say, I don't know who I am. And so awakening will be a graduation in which your experience of yourself does become magnified, but at each step of the way or each point in the graduation, you still know you're you. You see, this is why the rugged individualism we were talking about yesterday is so detrimental to the process of awakening. Because individualism means private, standing apart identity. And that conscious experience of identity completely disallows for the experience of reality, because reality, the experience of reality, is not private. Not any part of the infinite expression of God is actually capable of standing apart from God and saying, here am I. See me? And yet, when the isolation that all of you prize so highly is abandoned, every aspect of the infinite expression of God is distinctly clear and is experienced distinctly by everyone, all at the same time. And it's an experience of being love and being loved. And always being the giver and the receiver simultaneously. Because the love that is God, that is expressed infinitely, is the very substance of you. And you don't feel separate from it. You receive it not because it comes over distance, but because you are the very presence of God in action at every single moment. And God in action is God expressing God as God. Meaning all of you in the world and all experience that's available to you. And so God is giving. by being himself. We could say as everything. So everything is a recipient of what God is being, and yet the recipient of what God is being is God expressed. It's God receiving it. You see, it's difficult to state this with great clarity because it's difficult to comprehend infinite specificness that doesn't stand opposed to universal oneness. But they're one and the same thing. And it won't be until you have the experience that you will, quote, understand what I'm saying. But the experience you have had before. And so you are able to feel a glimmer or get a grasp of what I'm saying. And the reminder of it helps you to wake up. It's as you abandon your right to autonomy that you come back into your right mind. It's as you recognize that you truly are nothing more than a puppet of God that you begin to come back into your right mind, even though that is insulting to everything that the ego stands for. Rugged, separate individualism. It isn't until you find a way to let yourself fit into the whole that you can come into the experience of the whole, in which everything you were trying to achieve by rugged individualism stands forth as already established, forever established, clearly recognizable to all of the brotherhood, without any elements of competition, without jealousy, without need for manipulation of any sort, without hate. Because every specific manifestation of the infinite manifestation of God is so clearly an essential part of every other specific manifestation of the infinite manifestation of God. And so who you are, specifically, is absolutely essential to Paul's completeness as what he is, specifically. And on in every blade of grass and every leaf on the tree. Every single specific manifestation is essential to the experience of individual integrity. But it isn't until the integrity of the whole is embraced that the real meaning of individual integrity becomes experienced. And as long as individual integrity is as long as the attempt to have individual integrity is made, you are absolutely blocked from waking up to the integrity that is yours forever, the integrity that has never changed, never truly been altered. So, waking up does not mean that you melt into an amorphous oneness. In which God's infiniteness is not infinitely expressed, but is just a general, vague, you might say, universe of diaphanous pink clouds. That's a wonderful movement of love in all of its pinkness. That would be worse than sitting as angels on clouds playing harps forever. And you know, no one individuality would look at another and be jealous or want to be better than another, because the realization has come that what you are as God is being you in each instant is a glorious expression of all that God is, and that therefore not any one of the infinite expressions of God have an edge over another. Do you want to know something?
Yes.
When you, as an infinite one, awake, if you, as an infinite one, did push away another of the infinite one, individuality, what would happen would be not that the other one would get pushed away, but rather that you would create a shell around yourself. And you would find yourself separated from all the rest, even though you only were pushing away one.
So I better not push here either.
That's right.
Yeah. And I have been. Yeah.
So, how do you undo the shell? By doing the reverse of what created the shell. You stop pushing away. You invite in. You be present with and attentive to someone or something other than yourself. You break the isolation by involving yourself, by caring, by caring beyond the call of duty, by walking the extra 100 miles in someone else's shoes, or caring without there being any justifiable ending for the caring. Infinite patience, I've said before, is not unending patience. It's the absence of impatience. It's the simple absence of impatience. So when you all stop trying to get to the end of having to love, you will find that your capacity to love is infinite. And you will feel the infiniteness of you as love. And you will begin to be illuminated from within yourself. And so when I say the call is to love the unlovable, well, for how long? Forever. Not even forever. It means love without conditions, which really means that you're able to be fully in the presence with unconditional love, with love available and expressed that has no conditions attached to it, which doesn't put you in the position of having to love unendingly, but puts you in the position of feeling the wholeness of you as love now. You see, it doesn't have anything to do with the future. But to get to the place where you're whole in the now, you've got to be willing to do it forever. You see what I'm saying? I want to ask something.
Okay.
Of everybody, not just you. If there's a point at which it's appropriate to stop loving, because loving seems to be difficult in this particular case or that particular case, let me ask you this. What if you end up being this particular case or that particular case that somebody else is wanting an end to having to love you for? When, for whatever reason, you might not be the most charming person to be around. For whatever reason. And there are always apparently good reasons for it. Whether it's been illness or injury or a difficult life or whatever. And what if you're the one who knows you deserve love, but the one who would extend it to you says, well, how long do I have to do it for? Do I have to do it forever? Well, now you know, if you sit in the other person's shoes, that, hey, you deserve to be loved, even if you're not able to live up to some expectation of worthiness to someone else. But you also now understand that if you, as the lover, as the one extending love, are extending it without conditions of time, you are able to be love fully in the moment you're in, and in being love fully in the moment you're in, you become illuminated, as I said. Your function, the function of your being, becomes illuminated, lit up within you in a way that you can feel, and you know that you've come into a realization of not only your divine nature, your real nature, but